Good morning, YouTube, on this Friday, the 9th of July, 2021. My name is Yusuf, and you are watching my news channel. Today, there is a lot to talk about. First of all, there is an anomaly, a big one that happened on the 8th of July. And today, actually at midnight, we had a 6-pointer in California, preceded by an earthquake swarm. So, a lot to talk about. But first, let's take a look at the prime news, that anomaly in the magnetosphere. It is a little bit different from the usual things that I discuss when I talk about the magnetosphere, because it doesn't really involve the inner current belt. This time, it's a change in direction that happened. First of all, let me show you. Let me illustrate by first showing the magnetopole. So it happened on the 8th of July, around 20 UTC, and this anomaly persists until I think 23 UTC, almost at midnight. Which is very interesting, because the 6-pointer in California happened around midnight. So when the 9th began, 40 minutes or 50 minutes after midnight. So my opinion, that earthquake has been triggered by this anomaly, and it's a big one, because it involves a change in direction in the magnetosphere, and this doesn't happen a lot. These are really rare events. Let me just go back a little bit. So this is when it all starts, and immediately we can see that there is actually pressure going in different directions, and this is key to understanding what is happening, or at least I might have an explanation for that. There is also unusual compression going on, as you can see, and at some point what appears to be a second bow shock at the other side of our planet. And let me just illustrate. Let's go on this. Yes, that would be, so this is almost midnight. And this might have triggered that earthquake, because that's an opening basically in the bow shock. And you see that energy is like attracted to it. This might be what finally caused that earthquake. So let's take a look at the magnetic field lines. This is where 20 UTC is. This is 20 UTC, so it happens around this timestamp, and it starts with an elongation of those closed field lines. This in itself is not unusual, but then the anomaly starts, and it continues. It reaches extreme proportions, and then something happens that got my attention. It is actually the field lines get blown away in one particular direction. And I saw this prompted me to check out. You see, everything goes in one direction. There wasn't actually a change in direction, the field lines themselves. And for this, we go to the third simulation, which actually shows you the velocity of the solar wind, but also its direction. Now, this is very important. So let me just go back to prior of this event. So now you see what the normal direction of the solar wind looks like. And before actually this event happens, the solar wind accelerates to 1,000 kilometers a second. Let me just pinpoint the exact moment when that happens. So this is 300 kilometers a second, and then yes, you can actually see it. When those arrows starts to change, there is immediately an acceleration. So it goes from 300 instantly to 700. Then in the next frame, it goes to 1193 kilometers a second. I'm not really sure what's causing this sudden acceleration. But it is also followed by a change in direction. You will see this at the height of the anomaly. There it is. So first happens once, they point into a different direction, and I do believe later on, yes, it happens again. And it becomes more evident. Yes, this is actually at the height. So you see when all those field lines, let me just go back to this. Let me just split those in two. Like this. Collapse this a little bit. Like this. So basically when those field lines go up, just check timestamp. Yes, it's almost the same timestamp. So when you look at the field lines, it is best visible. And it happens actually at 21 UTC, almost 22 UTC, when, yes, 45 minutes, 21 UTC, 45 minutes, and then it continues. And you can see the field lines, they literally change direction. And they are aligned actually at Earth's tilt, which is now 23 degrees as we are actually in summer solstice. So I'm pretty sure this has a meaning in its own to describe actually this event. As it's something pushing to our planet. Is Earth on the influence of another body that's nearing our solar system? Who knows? But I find it very, very disturbing to see a change in direction in the field lines. They are clearly attracted by something and following this gravitational pull. So we'll have to see if this happens again in the future. But nonetheless, the effects are already visible. Let's take a look nonetheless at solar wind. And why am I doing this? To show you that basically the solar wind is not to blame for this. When we look at the Antelope spiral, nothing major happens. We are entering an accelerated phase, but as you can see, solar wind should be around 300 kilometers a second, and proton density is not really high. It's just, actually it's on the low side even. It's barely 10 protons a second, so we can't really blame the solar wind for this. Again, when we look at the data, it hovers around 10 protons a second. When we look at the BZ component, we don't see a major anomaly. Speed-wise, yes, it should not have been higher than 300 kilometers a second. Nonetheless, it jumped briefly. Let me just go back and show you. It jumped briefly before this event started to 1,100 kilometers a second. So this change, this sudden acceleration in speed is key to understanding what is happening. It might indicate that whatever hit us didn't even come from the sun at all, and actually hit us from the backside of the planet rather than the front. But I could be wrong. Maybe some other mechanism causes particles to accelerate in our magnetosphere, something which I'm not aware of. This is also possible. So, oh yes, another thing that caught my attention, but it could just be a glitch. Nevertheless, there was a CME, but on the 7th, but that CME I'm not really interested in that CME. What caught my attention is this. Now, prior to that CME, and at first when I saw this for the first time, I said this might be a glitch. But what a coincidence that this happens, and now we are seeing this weirdness. So maybe, I'm saying a big maybe something happened. Big CME, the size of this that you are actually seeing, and that this has been caused by that departing sunspot which caused that X-flare. This is possible. So it would have been brushed in the next frame, but this, they actually left it. And when we look at it, to me, this doesn't seem like an error at all. This just looks like something which has been computed and which is still showing, but they might have brushed out the actual CME, which would span almost the anti-solar disk, but from the backside of our planet, like a halo CME. This is possible. And this could explain the actual event that we saw. Why the solar wind went in different direction, why the sudden acceleration to 1,000 kilometers a second, etc., etc. And I'm not saying this is the cause, I'm just postulating right now. Because frankly, I don't know. I'm just like you, just guessing. So, the major event when we look at earthquakes is of course California. Remember when I told you that the San Andreas Fault is locked, and that a major space weather event could unlock or trigger this fault line. Then we could see the big one, which is overdue for 14 years, I guess. And this got me worried. This is a 6-pointer in Nevada. It's not actually on the fault line, but very close to it. And it was preceded by an earthquake swarm. A pretty important earthquake swarm. This might indicate that there will be a follow-up, maybe a 7-pointer in this vicinity, and this is very dangerous because, as you know, the big one is overdue, and I strongly believe that at some point a major space weather event will trigger, whether it is a geomagnetic storm or just like this, an anomaly that we cannot explain, in the magnetosphere, which actually causes earthquake activity. So, is this the end, this 6-pointer? Will there be other earthquakes? This is definitely something we should monitor. If you live in California, have an earthquake plan. I strongly suggest that you check everything, whether it is food supplies, water, a generator, transportation, people you can call if something happens, your local authorities. Make sure you check all that, because this is a red flag, people. A 6-pointer in California is no joke. And another thing I want to point out is whenever this happens, it spills out all the way to Oklahoma. So in my opinion, the San Andreas Fault stretches actually all the way to Oklahoma. Don't forget that. So another thing I checked, Yellowstone volcano. So you see, this event is a major event because it even triggered some activity in the Yellowstone volcano, and this is also worrisome because if this one erupts someday, it will be a very nasty experience, definitely. So this is it, people. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications button so you won't miss any future content, and that you get notified when I actually post the video. You can also hit the like button if you actually like this video, as usual. And I will cite a philosophical quote before we leave each other. I'm all excited because of this event. You can actually hear it. Okay, so let's see. I think I was weakness, which is man, no man learns from his nature. This is it, 60, I think. He who lives beyond his means forfeits, respects, and loses his sense. Whenever he goes, he will be regarded as a knave, and women will hate him. So, never live beyond your means. This seems logical, because when you do, you will lose respect of other people, and women will not like you anymore. This is a bad thing. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching this video, and I guess we see each other next time. Take care, everyone.